March of 2012, and our oldest son Travis and our youngest son Tanner and I decided to go meet my husband Jim at a local restaurant to watch the Baylor men's basketball game. We were on I-35 and came upon an accident, stopped right in front of us, and so I had to stop, and there was a truck behind us that rear-ended us. Tanner was in the back seat, and he took the brunt of the impact, and when the car came to a stop and I realized that Travis was okay, I turned around and looked at Tanner, and he was slumped over and completely non-responsive.
Carol called me a few minutes after the accident, grief-stricken and horrified, and I got to the accident scene a few minutes later, right as they were preparing to take Tanner to the hospital, and I followed the ambulance to the hospital. Right after I got there, they told me that he'd suffered a traumatic brain injury. I didn't know exactly what that meant, but knew it was bad, and I had a real close friend from our life group who offered to drive me to the next hospital where they were taking Tanner. And I'll never forget, on the ride there, I turned to him and I said, "This is not supposed to happen to me. This is the sort of thing that happens to other people." Tanner was in the ICU at the first hospital for nearly a month, and I remember the first night the doctor said the first 72 hours was going to be critical in terms of Tanner surviving, and he couched it in terms of whether or not Tanner would survive, and that was kind of our attitude, our approach to it, and the way we prayed to God about it. If it was His will, allow Tanner to survive, thinking that if he did survive, everything would be okay. God didn't answer our prayers the way we wanted at the time. He didn't just cure Tanner overnight. And people began to talk to us at the hospital about there being a new normal, and that was difficult to accept.
We didn't want this new normal. We didn't want this reality. We prayed that God would completely heal Tanner, and we weren't willing to accept him in his current condition. And that's why we pushed so hard to just keep working and
staying at the hospital
and doing everything that could be done for him there, trying every new medicine possible to see if that would help his muscles work better or help him become more alert. We were just desperate to get back to what we thought our life was before, as close to that as we possibly could.
About 6 months after the accident, the doctors told us it was time to take Tanner home, which was scary and exciting at the same time. And there was a huge homecoming celebration in Tanner's honor. Having thought about it before, it's not what I had imagined. I had imagined stopping at the end of the street, Tanner getting out of the car, raising his fist victoriously, and walking to the house. That's not what happened. Tanner wasn't ready to walk yet. But wow, what an arrival we had.
It was amazing. The number of people, the kids from school, the drum line was there. They had signs and balloons, and hundreds of people lined our street to welcome us home.
It's been about 2 years since the accident, and our lives are very different. But Tanner's life is full and busy with activities.
He's very busy. He goes to school every morning, and then he's got therapy every afternoon, and then homework at night. So he's really has no free time at all.
But he enjoys being in school, and he participates. He raises his hand in class, and he's in the regular classes with some of his friends.
He interacts, he talks, he'll crack little jokes, and
But at the end of every day of school and therapy, then we've got homework and trying to get him ready for bed and ready to start the next day. At the hospital, there were posters with scriptures on them, and I remember one was Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And there were times I wondered, why? How can that be true? We can't do all things. We're not getting everything like we want. Later, after we came home, our pastor did a sermon on that verse and clarified that the better translation actually is, I can endure all things through Christ. And we see that on a daily basis, that we can endure if we stay in the present and if we place our faith in God and try not to worry about answering all the questions ourselves. Tanner has this same wit and sense of humor, and he'll laugh, and we have joy in those moments hearing him laugh. I find great hope in those moments. We always pray with him every night at his bedtime, and not always, but every once in a while when we're done praying, he'll pick up and start praying himself, and that's pretty awesome hearing him pray.
Or the night that we have a monitor in his bedroom, and after we had said goodnight, you heard him on the monitor and thought he was calling out to us and went in to check on him, and he wasn't calling out to us, he was praying to God. And those are the moments that keep us going, that we cling to.
I feel like if God hears any prayers, it's the prayers of our son. Those are pretty special moments, and so we're still filled with great hope. This journey's not what we thought it was going to be. And it's certainly not easy, but we have been enduring, and we are still hopeful. And we don't know when Tanner will be restored and fully. And we don't know if it's in this life or the next life, but we know that he will be restored. And so we look forward with joy to that day where God will complete the work that he's already begun in Tanner's life.